Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to VTOL VR. This is going to be the third video I'm doing on the AH94. The reaction to my first two videos was really good. Thank you so much for watching the videos. Thank you for all your comments. I learned a lot from you guys as well. Some of those issues I want to also demonstrate in this video. So in order to complete the first two videos, I didn't do a very good job in some of the points. So let me just tell you, one of the issues that people mentioned when flying this aircraft was transition from the hover flying into manual mode, which we will cover today. The second thing was the radar and how you can use the radar to slave the targets onto your either GPS or your TADS. And then some people were talking about the missile avoidance, some people were talking about the different kind of weapons. We're going to cover that, and we're just going to see what's the best way in this aircraft or this helicopter to position yourself prior to the attack. It's a little bit different to do this with the helicopter comparing to the planes, so I aim to cover that. So without further ado, oh yeah, one of the things that was mentioned to me was actually a complaint about the head shake, which, as you can understand, it's very difficult to translate VR onto the 2D system, because whereas for me the picture is stationary and my head moves side to side and around, so when you watch it on 2D, everything, the whole world is moving with my head, which makes it a bit nauseating to watch. There is no quick fix for that. That's just the reality of the VR. So when viewed from 2D screen, that's always going to happen. But the problem was that I was using the VR mirror to display what I'm seeing, and that camera is not smooth. It's not smoothed out, so it shakes and jitters more than the smooth camera that we have on VTOL. So from now on, I'm going to use that instead. And in order to keep this mixed reality thing going, my head will be popping up either here on the pilot in the pilot seat or somewhere on the screen so that you can see me talking. It just adds a little bit of personal touch. So I hope from now on the camera shake is not going to be a problem. Fully taken on board. I fully understand that. I will do my best to try to keep my head still as much as possible. And another thing I want to announce is that one of the users on the YouTube, I think his name was Michael Westmoreland or something. I'm sorry for getting your name wrong. I was trying to remember it. He said he would like to know about the stealth capabilities of the VTOL aircrafts and how does that work. That's a very good question, because everybody knows we have some stealth aircrafts, especially the F-45. And what I want to do is I want to do a bit of a research and do a bit of a demonstration to see how stealth works. So I'm going to be using different aircrafts, different approaches, different altitudes, different loadouts, just to see where does the stealth give you advantage and does it work at all. When it comes to this particular aircraft, I can cover that immediately today. So we have the FCR, or the radar, mounted on top, and that should give you an advantage of hiding behind the hill, popping up your FCR just above the ridge, picking up the targets and then dealing with them while you're hidden. We're going to see if that really works or not. I don't think it does, but I'm going to test it out and show it to you. So I'm going to switch into the first-person mode, and we're going to crack on with this mission. This is the Arctic mission, the Arctic Assault. It's a very easy mission. You don't need a walkthrough for this, but it's really good that you can demonstrate some of the action parts of these videos. So we're going to switch. Okay, there we go. So smooth look. The aircraft, the helicopter has already been fired up, so we're going to crack on with it. So taking off, you always have to counter what the aircraft is going to do. So let's say if I'm having everything in the middle, okay, you see, it doesn't go straight up. So you have to counter the movements with your stick. Okay, so let's go into hover mode. Okay, I'm going to let the stick go. Let's prepare this for the battle. Okay, so at the moment the aircraft is settling in, and when it levels its nose, it means that it's ready to settle in. So we are now hovering calmly in the same place, only a little bit of speed going on. We are set to increase the speed. You can see the difference between HVR and Alt. So if it's above the line, you tend to go up. If it's on the line, you tend to be level, and below the line, you tend to be dropping. So we are now at 250, 60 meters. So we're gonna bring it down to the middle. and we're going to let the aircraft settle down. And you will know that by your speed. At the moment it's 7 kilometers an hour. We can barely feel the motion. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to grab my flight collective part of the stick, and I'm going to switch the hover off, and we're going to see what the aircraft is doing. Mind you, my right hand is not doing anything at the moment. Okay, so switching off the hover, it starts yawing to the right and pitching down. Okay, and every time I do this, it does the same thing. Okay, so let's go back into hover again. I'm gonna let the right stick go. So we're gonna wait for it to settle. You can look at that plus on your screen on the heads-up display, and that little line which points out to where, you know, which way is the aircraft moving and how fast. The longer the line, the faster you go. Okay, so now we are level. So when we click the hover, when we switch the hover off, it yaw to the right and pitch down, which means we are going to try yaw to the left and pitch slightly up. Okay, so we're gonna grab our flight collective again. Try not to go up or down. Try and keep it as steady as possible. I'm gonna grab my right stick. So we said, okay, don't do it before you switch off the hover. So I'm gonna switch it off the hover. I'm gonna yaw to the right and up. And there we go. I did exactly the opposite of what the helicopter did, and I managed to catch it from doing anything bizarre. So we're gonna pull the collective all the way, get the gear up, and I think we are done. I think at least you should be able now to practice your transition between hover and your regular manual flight, and see how the aircraft behaves, apply counter input, and you should be fine. Okay, so let's talk about the radar. So the radar has two options, unlike the other aircraft. So it has a ground and air. The ground mode basically is going to pick up any targets in front of you, which you can then mark off. Okay, let's see what's happening here. I think there is nothing at the moment. Okay, there is one target there. Okay, now when you have this line,
the enemy position. A rocket artillery has been laying down fire, so we need you to scout it out and check the damage. If you find any live targets, we'll send another volley and you can clean up anything that's left.
Okay, I'm just gonna go to hover mode so I don't have to think about that. Okay. Okay, so now that you have a target in your radar, it means you can slave it to your TADS, and then you can either shoot the optic guided targets from here or laser guided targets from there, or you can add it to your GPS either through TADS or directly from here. So for example, if you go to your GPS mode, then you say GPS, then it's added here, and if you happen to have some GPUs, you can fire them immediately and get done with it. Okay, pretty straightforward. So why does this give you any advantage? So first of all, it can help you spot targets that are difficult to be visually spotted. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that in theory, you should be able to come close to the edge of the hill or top of the hill and be hidden behind the hill, the main body of the helicopter, with only the FCR sticking outside. And then with the radar, you can slave targets to your TADS, but even though you don't see it, you will still be able to fire off the Ballista using the LOAL. So the LOAL is the function of the Ballista only, which means that once it's fired off, it will then find and lock onto the targets after it has been launched. But in the meantime, it will avoid any physical obstacles, which is really neat and adds to the stealth capabilities of this helicopter. So we're going to try that and see if it works in a couple of minutes time. So I'm going to switch off the hover and I'm going to carry on because I don't need to destroy this bunker. It will be destroyed by the artillery. So we need to go beyond this hill. Spot and map the positions of their artillery and let our artillery do the job. So this is a perfect opportunity for us to test out this radar. If you want to find different targets on the radar, make sure to click unlock, and then you can slave it off. Probably we are being picked out by one of the radars in the vicinity. As soon as you drop your altitude, it goes off. So, okay, let's go. Okay, what I want to do is get, you see this ridge? This is where we want to get and hide our helicopter, and then try the radar option. Okay, let me just do this a little bit faster. So in this mission, your target, well, your goal or objective is not to destroy all the artillery yourself, because it's going to be difficult. You don't have enough ballistas. But you need to spot it out, let the artillery do its work, and then you can shoot them off yourself, either using ballistas or a gun. In the first part of the targets, we can use the gun because there are no anti-air defenses. In the other sections, that will not be possible because of so many anti-air defenses, and you can't get close enough. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to talk to you about, so how do you stop? So we are now going 280 kilometers an hour. The only effective way to stop is to pull like this, but then you will be gaining altitude. So the best way to do is to make a rotation, drop down the collective, and then turn the helicopter. You can see your speed is dropping massively, and then once you have shed the speed off, pull the collective, and there you are. You are practically back into the hover position, going very, very slowly. Okay, so we're gonna get close to this side of the hill, and we want to do that Rambo style sort of helicopter popping out from the cliff, yada yada yada. Okay, so once we're here, we're going to engage the hover mode, and then get the altitude to increase slightly as you do that. Okay, we are keeping an eye on the radar, and here, let's see, what is the objective? The objective is in front of us. So we're gonna, on TADS, I'm gonna say follow the waypoint. So we are now practically looking at the target through the hill, and we're gonna see where it appears first. So it should appear first here. If it does that, then that means the FCR is working beautifully. If it doesn't, if I can see it at the same time here, so the camera is at the bottom of the helicopter, this is at the top. So there should be some delay in TADS seeing the target as opposed to radar picking up on the target. So let's see if that works. Okay, raising the altitude still. Of course, raising and losing the altitude whilst in hover is much slower. You have to you need to understand that. It was the same in the AV-42C as well. Okay, so now let's see what the targets, when the targets are going to show up. So looking at both screens, I'm going to decrease the rate of ascending. Okay, nothing happens still. We don't see them here yet. Okay. So here we go now. So as I said, problem with this is that if you go here and then double click and then slave it here.
It looks like we need to keep hammering.
Yeah. So
Sending another
we
fire over.
managed to see the target at the same time on TADS and on the radar. So this is fundamentally wrong. So there is I would say about 3 to 4 meters difference between the height of the camera and the FCR. So you should be able to pick it up with the FCR, but you don't. And thereby its purpose is significantly diminished. So it's very clunky, it's not very user-friendly. In the battle itself, it's very difficult to use this, so it's easier to use just the TADs. I just wanted to demonstrate how this should be working, but it's not. So let's drop the radar now at the moment. This is the artillery now doing the damage. We're gonna move TADs here, get the navigation here. So what I want to do is I want to scan out the other targets and see if the artillery has done its job. They're still firing, you can see. Okay, there will be few targets that are left. The radar does help you mark the targets on in the heads-up display. As you can see, 3 of those boxes, those are marked on the radars, and at least that will help you identify the units on the ground. So we have 3. So 1, 2, and 3. Let's destroy them using our guns. Okay, that's 1. Okay, there is an enemy radar close by, so we need to lose the altitude. Okay, and the third one.
Good work.
Okay.
A few tanks must have broken off from the main group. They've been spotted moving through the valley in our direction.
Actually, so I just did this this way because I wanted to demonstrate the radar over the hilltop. But if you want to do this part properly, so what you need to do is just go around and face the convoy from the front. Otherwise, you're gonna get hammered by the rockets that one of the mobile air defense units is equipped with. So first deal with the convoy, which is going to be the next objective, and then deal with any remaining artillery. But you can use the guns because we need some of our ballistas later on. So we're just gonna locate the convoy. There it is. That's the convoy done. Let's see what's happening with the artillery. Okay, still a lot of them undamaged. Okay, maybe not all of the barrage is completed. Let's approach with caution. Okay, so we're gonna go in and destroy them with guns. No need to wait. So the good thing about the radar is that the radar signature tells you whether the target has been eliminated. You can clearly see here that these two have not been. So that's another benefit of the radar. And also the radar tells you what it is. It can tell you whether it's an MAD, whether it's a tank, a bunker or something. So it does give you some information.
A few tanks must have broken off from the main group. They've been spotted moving through the valley in our direction.
Okay.
Find them and take them out before they get too close. Good. Thanks for the help. Getting back on track, we have the general location of another enemy station. Scout out the next waypoint so we can direct the artillery.
Okay, so let's just take a moment to absorb what we've done. So we discussed about the radar, how you can use it to pinpoint the targets, identify the targets, then slave it to your TADS or your optical sight, and then either use from here to add GPS targets. You can add GPS targets directly from here. But my biggest problem is that it doesn't work as it's intended, which means that it identifies the target at the same height as the optical sight, even though there's a big, there's significant difference in the height. We can see the FCR is above us, the TADS is below us, so there is, I don't know how much, but a couple of meters worth, which should be enough to actually pop out the radar and keep the helicopter hidden from sight at all times, and then it would work as intended. But I'm not giving up. We're going to try this again on the next two tasks, and we're going to see if it gets any better in doing that. So the next task is further up over there, 18 kilometers away. So same thing, spot the targets, wait for the artillery, finish off the rest. But you can't go close to the target because you have lots of mobile air defenses in the valley on your left, which stops you from actually traversing that space. So let's go to that area. That's going to keep low as possible. There is mobile air, there is an air defense in this next space, so we have to be extremely cautious how we approach it. Okay, we have the radar on, we have everything on, we did our save. So if I screw up, we're going to come back to this area and retry again. Okay, we're going to get a little bit above these little hills and see what's up ahead. Remember, if you are flying low, that means you have a greater chance of dropping your height or altitude and hiding away from the rocket. And another thing I noticed with some of these ground-based air defenses is that if you drop your speed really quickly with this helicopter, I mean not the speed, sorry, the altitude, which you can't do when you're in hover, I have to emphasize that, the rockets that are fired upon you, they immediately start going down and they hit the ground a lot earlier than they would potentially reach you. I don't know whether that's a bug or whether that can be considered as a real anti-missile tactics, but what definitely does help is dropping the altitude really quickly and using the chaffs to sort of shake off the radar lock. I found it much more effective and helpful in the helicopter than I did in either of the other planes that I flew on VTOL VR. So keep that in mind. So we're going to switch off the flares. Okay, we don't need those, but we're going to use chaff. Okay, and we're going to try and shake off the rockets that are sent. So we're flying low. Obviously the targets are somewhere in the valley between those hills. Now our next, okay, I know, our next task is to find a good spot where we can hide and sort of set up our firing station, which is just here ahead of us. There is a small hill. So remember what we did earlier. I don't want to raise my altitude and stop, so I'm gonna drop the collector down. I'm gonna make a sort of a handbrake turn, if you will. Okay, and just like that, we've shed all the speed. Make sure you bring the collective back up. Don't crash on the ground. And now we can easily steady ourselves. We can even use the hover. Okay, but most important thing is to stay behind this hill. In my approach, I wasn't being locked or I wasn't being fired upon, which is good. Okay, so another test for the radar. So we have the radar set up. We have we have our TUTs looking directly at the target. So let's see when does it appear. Okay, we're going to start raising the altitude. Okay, I'm looking at both screens. Okay, we're starting to see tops of the bunkers or the tents in this area. We're seeing the first target here. Okay, we're going to slow down the ascent a little bit. Okay, so we are being now recognized. We are being recognized by their air defense. You can hear the ping, so we know that the radar is searching for us. It didn't lock yet. So let's start. Okay, now we have a lock. And we have been fired upon without... Okay, let's... Okay, dropping.
Chat. Altitude.
Okay, so we're safe now. Let's do a hover again. So there you go. We were locked on before we were able to lock onto them or see them on the radar or lock on target on TUTs, which is rather unfortunate, but it is what it is. Maybe my positioning wasn't the best. Ideally, I wanted to be a little bit further to the left. And we must make sure to stay away from the mobile air defenses or MADs in the valley on our left. So let's go higher up again. What I want to make sure is just to take off that one anti-air unit, which is firing on us. And then we can deal with the other targets in slow time. See, I'm still not getting a lock.
Enemy positions confirmed. Sending the fire order. Watch out for air defenses and don't get too close. We don't want you to become collateral damage. You're clear to engage any remaining targets.
Yeah, you see, just as I said,
Altitude.
immediately.
Altitude.
Oops! So we have upset the MAD on our left. Okay, so let's bail out. You can't do much when you're in hover. So we're gonna retreat a little bit over here. We've sent one ballista to the air defense, and we just need to keep clear of the MADs. So we are going to go right about here, and we're gonna enjoy the artillery barrage show. Okay, let's get this. Okay, so artillery is already pounding them. Oops. Okay, can I get out of this one?
Altitude.
No. Okay, so the artillery is having a bit of fun. We're just gonna wait for a couple of barrages to be completed, and then we are going to see if there is anything else that needs to be destroyed. Nice work. Okay, we can get some altitude now because we don't have any threat from the from this base air defenses, which we've destroyed. But there are, I guess, 1 or 2 targets that haven't been destroyed. Okay, we picked up 2. Okay, if you have trouble visually identifying the targets, this is where the radar comes in handy. Okay, so we're gonna slave this here. Okay, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, that's it. So we have 8 of the AGM 145s, and you roughly need about 6 to 8 to deal with the next task. So let's just settle down and wait for the for the rockets to hit, and we wait for an update on the objective, which will hopefully be sorted out now. We see objective 10 or 11. We're waiting for
Target's
one.
destroyed.
Okay, that's it.
We're advancing the bombers to strike the main base, but there's a line of air defenses further up the valley. We don't have time to wait, so you'll have to disable them ASAP. These are long-range defense systems, so you should be able to get closer than their effective minimum range.
Okay,
In case,
safe.
the bombers are relying on you.
Also, I've had quite a few people ask me how I get this menu in my hand. So basically, it's a trigger and grip, and then press the upper button, the Y button on the left hand, or the right hand, doesn't matter, and you'll get this menu. You can recenter, restart, quick save, load, and exit mission very quickly, and hold joystick in the center to cancel. So let's position ourselves again. We're gonna get the hover thingy on, so I can do stuff that otherwise Gunner would be doing. So we're safe here. Let's look at the map. So the map says, sorry, let me update the objective. So the map says that the objective is in this valley here, and we are just hiding beyond this hill at the moment, so they are just beyond. So what we are going to do, what we are left to demonstrate in this one, is the LOAL capability of ballistas. So as I said earlier, lock on after launch is the capability of the ballistas, which means you can scan the targets, you can set them as GPS points, then you can throw them to your optic, and even though you don't see the target, but the rocket will find that target, it will lock onto it, and it will destroy it 95% of the cases. But we don't have to be in sight. And if we had the working radar, that means we wouldn't have to pop out. This way we do have to pop out. We'll keep the radar on just in case, but as is the case so far, it doesn't do a world of good. Okay, so let's point to the general direction of the target. We're going to find 3 or 4, I think 4 sets of MADs, which is mobile air defense unit. They are coupled with one launch pad and one radar pad. I think the launch pad is what is required for you to complete the mission, but I tend to destroy both just because I feel I should. Okay, so let's get the altitude up. Keep an eye on the radar. Keep an eye on the... So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get up. I'm going to add as many GPS points as I can, and then I'm going to hide back and see if we can do some damage. But they are going to be shooting at us, okay? So we already have one. Okay, that's a bunker. We don't need that. Okay, so GPS, and then let's hide.
Chat flare. Chat flare. Chat flare.
Okay, managed to escape. Let's get the hover back on. Okay, now we have 2 GPS targets, but we don't see the targets almost. So let's open up the GPS screen. As you can see, we have 2 GPS targets. I can't remember if you do have to cycle manually. I don't think so, but let's try it out. So now we have the ballistas locked onto the invisible target. We're gonna fire the first one, and we see it goes over the hill, and then we have to manually select. Actually, sorry, I screwed this up. Okay, so let's go to the first one. It needs to be acquired here first, and then fired. You see it goes over the hill, and then move to the next one, and then again acquire, and then fire. Okay, and then we're gonna wait and see if the objective gets updated or if the target's hit. So if we pop out, they're going to be shooting at us. We don't want to do that. So let's see what happens here. Let's get this annoying sound out of the way. Okay, so it then notes, okay, we took both of those, so we have 2 more pairs of these. Now, the best thing to do this is with a gunner. So basically, what I would do if I had a gunner is I would make a brief fly into the valley to give my gunner the visual range and to allow him to set the GPS points, and then we would hide and then fire off the rockets. You can't do this on your own, so I have to be a little bit creative, but this is how I would do it if I had a gunner. So let's get up, and we're going to use, so let's delete the GPS points. We don't need those anymore. Okay, let's use the useless radar. So the bunkers are no threat to you, so we already identified one set of MADs which we've destroyed. Let's try and cover the other 4 all in one go. Okay, it's going to require some quick thinking on my part and quick action. So bunkers. Okay, here's MAD. GPS sent. Another bunker. We don't want to destroy that. Waiting for more.
Missile launch.
Okay, another bunker. We're running out of time. Okay, there we go. GPS.
Chat flare.
Oops. So there you have it. I was intentionally trying to do this. I was stalling a bit, so it was a bit too much. Let's do this again.
It's a bit of a cold morning today, but we warmed up the engines for you. Get your wheels up as soon as you're ready. Artillery's gonna start lighting up soon.
So in hindsight, I should have been more careful. I should have done 2, and then another 2, and then wait. But I just wanted too much. I went up too much, and I was exposed too much. And the problem with this collective here is that the auto hover is on a flight stick. The countermeasures are on a different stick. So that creates a bit of a issue if you want to switch off very, very quickly. Okay, so I'm happy here-ish. Let's see if I can stay away from those MADs. Okay, we have no GPS points at this time. Okay, we have a bunker. Okay, so let's do it like this. Come on, lock on. We're so fucked. Yep. Okay, so I'm just being a little bit impatient here, and normally when I do this mission, I have no problems with it.
Engines for you. Get your wheels up as soon as you're ready. Artillery's gonna start lighting up soon.
Okay, let's try and be a bit more cautious this time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop out. Okay, we can already have a cue where those MADs are by following the trace of the rockets. Okay, so what I want to do is, I'm not gonna go into hover. I need the speed. Okay, so 1 and 2. Okay, now hide. We went in too far. Okay, so we have 2 of those marked on GPS. the problem with this approach is that if I don't destroy the first two, and in order for me to have a visual on the second two, the first two are going to obliterate me. So we are going to deal with them 2 by 2 by 2. Okay, so let's go to the GPS. We're gonna get first one out. Oh, pardon. So my mistake again. Acquire, fire, move to the next target, acquire, and fire. Okay, that did not work. Probably I was too close to this hill. Let's try again. Okay, that's better. Let's see what's happening with the objective. So we should have, okay, one has already been destroyed and now waiting for the second one. Okay, second one destroyed, very good. Let's save. I want to go back and do this again. Okay, so we have 4 more and we have 4 more targets. So let's find the next set of... Okay, I'm gonna switch off the hover because it gives me better speed to maneuver. But it's very difficult when you're doing it on yourself, on your own. Okay, we have GPS delete group, so GPS send, GPS send. Again, let's move out of here because we are exposed currently. Okay, so what we need to do is now acquire, shoot, acquire, and shoot. Even though we have a visual on the target, we still use the GPS feature to slave it to our optical. We're gonna go back a little bit. I'm too deep into the valley and so it's getting a bit dangerous now. Let's see, objective update. Okay, that's 4 out of 6, so we have 2 more. Again, save. Okay, and then we are going for the last 2, and we have 2 rockets. Hopefully they will be successful, otherwise it's going to be a bit more challenging. So bunker, bunker, and then another MAD. Okay, here we go. GPS, delete group. GPS send, GPS send. And now let's do a proper demonstration of the LOAL feature. Okay, let's see if we can do this from afar, even though it's a risk because I have only 2 rockets, but what the heck. Let's try it on. So I have to make sure, first target, acquire, so move the GPS point, or move the optic directly to this GPS point. Okay, let's do the handbrake turn. Okay, so the first one, very good. Move down, acquire, and the second one. I think the first one hit the hill, so we're probably gonna have to do this manually because we don't have any more rockets. Hopefully we destroyed the launcher, but missed the dish, the radar dish. Otherwise, it could be a little bit difficult to get it without being hit. I will welcome the challenge. Okay, so 5 out of 6, as I thought. Good. So let's move to the TUDS. We're going to use this here to move from one to the other. I don't know which one is locked now. So let's kill the hover. And then let's get some speed. Fly low. Prepare the guns. But be careful, bunkers could be shooting at you, so let's try and do this from afar. Okay, so the launcher is still not dead, but it doesn't have a dish, so I think it can't fire. Let's try and do it from here.
Excellent job. You were the key to victory today. Go ahead and RTB. We'll take it from here.
Okay, yeah, so that was the mission. As I said, it's fairly easy. It's a good mission to practice various targets and even missile evading tactics with the helicopter. Don't forget, you can always bring two aim or basically aim 92s, which you could use against the other aircraft, but also you can use them against rockets that are heading your way. So that's your a safety net, if you will. So we're gonna go back to the base, and then the final bit I just want to demonstrate in this particular video is how we use the handbrake turn to quickly land in our base. So we don't need weapons anymore. Forward, we can switch this off. Okay, so we are approaching the base. We're gonna do the quick landing as quick as possible. Very helpful to have your TUDS on, switch to color mode, and then see-through thingy. That will increase your vision through the helicopter and get you a better bearing on where the base is and how you need to land. Landing gear down. So let's approach at big speed, low altitude. Not too low, mind you. You need to have some space to maneuver. There are no particular obstacles, so it doesn't matter which way you approach it. You can hit the helipad either way. Okay, so we're gonna leave it slightly to our left. We're gonna try and make a U-turn and then be very close to the base, hopefully with 0 or little speed so that we can land. Okay, so we are approaching 384 kilometers. Okay, dropping the collective, making the turn. You can make this as big as you like or as small as possible, depending on how quick you want to. You can see on my heads-up display the speed is going down rapidly. You can then start shedding some speed, some more speed. Absolutely no rush in this. And then start pulling the collective up so that you don't crash. Okay, the stronger we pull the stick to us, the faster we will be losing speed. And now settle down, hopefully land, not crash. Okay.
Ready to fix you up.
Okay, let's switch off everything. Rotor brake on. I'm gonna get the APU on because I need to do some more talking if possible. Let's okay, so hope you enjoyed today's video. We covered some things that we didn't cover in the first two videos, some of which you suggested in the comments. For me, when I do these videos, it's a two-way process. You learn something from me, I will learn something from you. I will also be looking at other people's videos. I don't know everything, and I find that this is the way that the community shares its best practices, shares the experiences, which I think is really amazing. So every time you come back with some comments, it's very useful. There is something I have missed, I omitted, so I appreciate your input as well. So today we looked at how to transition from hover to normal manual flight mode, basically by counteracting the anticipated actions or movement of the aircraft after you switch off the hover mode. Test it out yourself, see what happens, see how you counter it. But as you've seen with the missiles, it's very important to be able to very quickly go out of the hover, go to the manual mode, and try and get away as quickly as possible from the rocket. So that's the big challenge. So the next thing, we looked at how we can use the radar for the ground targets, how we can slave it to our optical, and how we can get the benefit out of it. Unfortunately, every time I tested it, it didn't work as it's intended. Basically, the problem is that the FCR recognizes the target at the same time as the optical sight, and they are at a different. So there is no point. They're different altitudes or different parts of the aircraft. So FCR should have a couple of seconds of identifying the target before the optical sight, and then it would make a whole lot of sense. So I will try and inform the developer, and I will try to get this to be updated in one of the next updates that will be rolled out. Otherwise, the radar is not very friendly to use. It's very difficult to use through screens, especially if you're flying and doing all that. With a gunner, it could make a whole lot more sense. The radar does help you identify what the targets are and how you can destroy them, even if you don't visually see them. So that's a good part. And it does help you point their locations on the ground, which is really useful. I like that feature with the ARAD, with the other planes on VTOL. So here the radar replaces that definitely. And then we looked at the U-turn, how we can quickly shed the speed without gaining significant altitude, which is really good when you need to park your aircraft and then start doing the combat practices. And the last thing we looked at how we can use the lock-on after launch on the ballistas. So it's a really, really good tactic on the helicopter. I'm going to be using that a lot, especially if you want to be out of sight, and if you have the time to pinpoint the GPS targets before hiding, then you can just cycle through your targets, put them to your TADs, and launch rockets. As you've seen, don't be too close to hill or the ground in front of you. Give some time to the ballista to actually go up and avoid the obstacles. Otherwise, they were just going to be hitting. So as I said, one of my next big videos will be on the stealth capabilities of the F-45. What I want to do is I want to do a bit of a research and experiment to see what stealth tactics are the best and how they work at different altitudes and different approaches. So it's going to be a big video because I need to do lots of different scenario testing just to eliminate all the variables, just to see whether stealth actually works or not. So keep this pace, subscribe so you can get, click on the link to be notified of any new videos, especially the one that I'm talking about. And thank you, Michael Westmoreland, I got the name right now, for your idea for the stealth. I will try to live up to your expectations. So until next time, enjoy and speak to you soon.